Ooh. Hello, everybody, and welcome to my broadcast. I'm not going to start the lesson yet until the chat starts to populate. So I'm just going to loosen up a little bit, warm up. And I'm very stiff because I was outside doing some yard work. Okay, somebody's here. Who's this? Double kicks. Good for you. Okay, you could hear me, right? Good. Now, a couple things here. Did you happen to view this afternoon's lesson? Because I'm going to continue that lesson probably tomorrow at 1 p.m. But if there's any questions on it, I'd like to address them now, and we get moving. I believe I said we were going to work on, I believe, ostinato number 5. Is that what I said? Yes? No? Hello? Now, what I do, there's a couple different ways to play this. And the way I presented it, oh boy, I made a mistake. No, I didn't. I like to loosen up. 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and. What are we doing? All right, so we'll like I promised, we'll work on pattern number 5. And the reason why I did this afternoon's lesson, because I've had a lot of requests through the email of counting systems, note, description, time signature definitions, and some reading, both in odd and in even time signatures. This guy here, if you're looking at ostinato symbol pattern number 5, the way I present that is on the hi-hat. The right hand is going 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and yes, I'm laying down a 2 and 4 on the snare drum. 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and 1 E and 2 E 3 E and 4 E and. Now, I could also play that differently, but I presented it that way, so we're going to work on it that way tonight. So you could also play it on the right cymbal. 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and 1 E and 2 E and. Or the bell of the cymbal. 1, 3 E and 4 E and 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and. Now you got the worksheet from this afternoon, so if you're not familiar with it, you didn't watch the video, I can't promise during the lesson and I won't be reviewing some or taking some questions. Okay? So let's play this. I'm still waiting for a couple more people to get into the chat. So I'm going to have to repeat myself. Who is this? Hey, Paul. We're on ostinato number 5. See what I mean about repeating it there, Mike? So I'm just going to relax a little bit until maybe 2 or 3 more people get into the chat. But like I said to Mike before, Paul, I've been getting a tremendous amount of requests for things like counting systems, note description, definitions of time signatures, dynamic markings, and I also presented it with basic reading in 4/4, 2/4, 3/4, so on and so forth, and also the odd 6/8, 3/8, 5/8, and that gets a little bit more involved. Okay. All right. So, you know, if you want me to do that with the PDF, I will. I wanted to address that tomorrow afternoon at 1 o'clock lesson to continue and do a little bit of a review or, just a little review or revisit. So there's no questions. Okay, so now we're on ostinato symbol pattern number 5. And it's a 16th note counting formation. And the right hand is going 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and. Okay, we understand that. Now we're going to drop the 2 and 4 on the snare. 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and. We understand that way. Now we go to the next page, the warm-up rather. 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and 1, 2, 3 E and 4 E and 1. If you get a tempo with the metronome going with that, you're going to get one hell of a bass drum. Your bass drum foot's going to be smoking. Okay? There's only, what's going on here? Who got booted? Hey, Boondy. Okay, so we understand it, no problem. So let's go to the first guy. The first guy, number 1, the bass drum is going to be on 1 and 3. So we have 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and 1. We understand that. Now we go to the second one. It's a little not tricky. Oh, I didn't put the foot in the second one. I put it on the third one. Ha! Good going, Matt. Number 3, the bass drum now. No, I'm sorry. On number 2, I forgot to put the bass drum on the E of 1. Excuse me. So if you'd like, get a pencil and put under the E, that's 1 E. On that note, E, put a bass drum mark there. And on the E of 3, put a bass drum mark there. So I'm going to have a bass drum now on the E of 1 and the E of 3. Nice and slow. 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and. Okay, we all understand that so far. Now, I'm sorry about me not putting the bass drum in on the 1 and 3. I apologize. Let's go to number 3. The bass drum falls on the and of 1 and the and of 3. Nice and easy, nice and slow. We're not in a competition mode here or who's better, who's faster, whatever. The thing is to understand the notation. Number 3, 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and 1 E and 2 E and 3 E, and 4 E, and. Now notice I'm not going up or down with the right stick. I'm trying to make that one particular sound over and over. 1 E, and 2 E, and letting the stick rebound. 1 E, and. Look at that. 2 E, and 3 E, and 4 E, and. Paul, you still here? Hello, Mr. Paul. You understand that, Mike? Okay, let's go to number 4. Now, on the count on number 4, you have the bass drum move over to the duh of 1 and the duh of 3. Nice and easy. 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and 1, 3 E and 4 E and. You're just playing along. That's not fair. That's copyright infringement there, Mr. Paul. Just joking. But did you put the E on the number 2? Did you put the bass drum marking on the E of 1 and the E of 3? You understand? It's very simple. But, you know, the thing is to do this open-handed. That makes this side of you, if you're right-handed, 1 E and a 2. Do this, a 1 E and a 2 E and 3 E and a 4 E and. Try it that way. And that's a little bit more difficult and unusual because if you're right-handed, you're playing on the right side constantly. Okay, that takes care of 1, 2, 3, and 4. How about you, Paul? Mike, did you mark that on the E of 1 and the E of 3 on number 2? I apologize. I mean, it's tough writing all this stuff out. You know, you're going to make a mistake here and there. And there are a few mistakes. Of course it is. And it's unusual. So your brain's shifting from the right side to the left side. And that's your weak side. If you're right-handed. If you're left-handed, it's no problem. Right-handed is the weak side. So you always want to equalize both sides, the right side and the left side, to make you stronger. All right, good for you there, Mike. All right, so now let's try number 1 open-handed. 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 again. 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and. Now the thing is to do it slow. That's where you're going to develop your strength slowly. Speed has nothing to do with this at all. It's control. And like I continually say, without control, all right, it's not going to happen for you. You know, I get some comments, well, it's got to be accurate. Well, if you're doing it slow, yeah, you're going for being accurate. It's insane. I don't know, the level of intelligence on Facebook is very unusual. But then again, I'm dealing with all kinds of drummers and all kinds of age levels. Okay, so now do we understand the open-handed guy? I mean, you know, actually pattern number 5, the first 2 pages, there's 22 of them. Any one you would like me to demonstrate? Because it's all the same thing, with just different foot patterns. But the object, man, you know, if you want to do this, let's say your left, let's go back to number 1. Let's say your left side is the weaker side if you're right-handed. So you want to do a 4-count increment. You want to do it 1 time right-handed, 3 times left-handed. So you have 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 left-handed. 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4. Again, 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4E and. I should have played it one more time. That's a good way to count it or do it. Or you could use, actually, it's so brilliant of George Lawrence Stone, man. You could actually use the stick control book method as RL, the first line. You could say, okay, one time right, one time left, one time right, one time left, until you complete the measure. Then make the transition left, one time right, one time left, so on and so forth. You do number 2, or 3 rather, it's 2 times to the right side, 2 times to the left side. So you can kind of keep track of it. And it's good focus, and it's opening up another area of your brain. Do you like that approach or concept or whatever? Now, you want me to do more of this stuff, or you want me to talk about, let's go to odd time signatures, if you'd like. There's 4 people watching. Okay, 4 people. Somebody's not in the chat. I would really appreciate that, to get into the chat and say, hello, Matt. Hello, guys. Interact with the other guys in the chat. Make friends. Ask questions. It's so simple. That's why I do this. Whether you agree or disagree with the approach, the objective here is, let's hear your approach. What do you dislike about the approach, and what could you add to the approach? Or what is your approach? So on and so forth. Hey, Dave, how you doing? Do you have any questions about this afternoon? Dave? I mean, I could do the workbook. First off, you did ask about the workbook, correct? And here's the workbook. Hey, bunga. This is workbook, the first workbook. And I try to take my lessons from this book when we're doing this kind of thing. And it's 170, maybe 180 pages. And like I said to you, it's, oh boy, it's $35, which includes postage. Okay? All right, so you have, Dave, Hoist, do you have the PDF? Paul, you have the PDF. Dave, do you have the PDF? I don't know if you're on my mailing list or not. I had asked you to email me, and if you email me, I could send you PDFs. So, Dave, are you on my mailing list? Okay, let's start, instead of 3/8, let's start with 5/8. 3/8 is simple, sometimes confusing. So let's start with something simple. What does 5/8 mean? Okay, there are 5 beats to the measure, and each 8th note receives the count or a beat. Now, what's difficult about this, you need to play, if you want to make a change, for example, from 5/8 to 4/4. All right, I'm sorry I missed you. All right, I'm sorry. Just email me again and remind me, and I will definitely send it to you. Okay, 5/8. Now, the rules don't change. No matter what country you're from, what instrument you play, the quarter note is equal to 2 eighth notes. So if I went 1, and I played the quarter note, I played the downbeat, the metronome, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1. So that's the 2 measure increment to make, to come back to the 1. That quarter note pulse is the same. Unless, you're not going to see something like the 8th note equals, no, it's usually the quarter note. The quarter note, whatever the tempo is, equals 80, 60, 90, 799, or whatever. Okay, so if I did one measure without the bass drum, I'm counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now that pulse is constant. However, the bass drum, okay, the quarter note equals 2/8 notes. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1. Do we understand that? It's a little strange because what you're doing is when you come back after the second measure, I'm going to do it in a 2-measure increment to change from 5/8 to 4/4. If I went 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, now 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So what I'm doing is I'm taking 5/8, 2 measures, and I'm going to 4/4. Do you understand how that works? Gentlemen, do we understand that? It's a little strange. The same thing with 7/8. So I'm just playing 5/8. I'll play it up a little bit. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 5. Now, what happens here, if you put the left hand to give me the 2, what is this? Well, okay, let me address that. If you have a triplet, if I'm in 4, 4, 4. All right, again, I'm not going to go over again how I count the triplet. If I do a triplet in 4, 4, 1 and the 2 and the 3 and the 4 and the. Now, if I count 3/8, it's not a triplet no more. It's 3/8 notes to the measure. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Now, you understand that? Yes, Paul? Okay. Does that clarify the question there, Michael? From 3/8. 3/8, see what happens if you sometimes going to read something from an instructional book or reading book, or if you're going to read a chart, what happens there is, they say the quarter note equals XXS, whatever it might be. But sometimes you'll see a dotted quarter note equals. Let's say the dotted quarter note, if I'm in 3/8. All right, if I have 1, 2, 3, that's 3/8 notes to the dotted quarter note. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Now, am I in 3/8 or 4/4? That's confusing. And we're going to elaborate on that kind of stuff. Right now, it's very confusing. I just want to introduce you to it. So I have now the quarter note equals, say, 80 in 3/8. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. If I say the dotted quarter note equals, say, 60. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. It changes the whole feel. And you'll see that a lot in 6/8. You'll see before you read it down, like the Charlie Wilcoxon book, for example. Okay, the Charlie Wilcoxon book has the quarter note equals, the dotted quarter note equals such and such, okay? So you're playing a march in 6/8. Basic goofy stuff there. But that's where it comes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So the dotted quarter note equals 3/8 notes. 1, 2, 3. Now, if it doesn't have that, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And that overlapping like a quarter note triplet to triplets. With the quarter note triplets with the bass drum, eighth note triplets with the hi-hat. It's not commonplace. It's a little strange if you're not used to it. But I will give a lesson soon on 6/8 both ways. I will give you some measures from the Charlie Wilcoxon book with the dotted quarter note and without the dotted quarter note. Entirely different feel. Same thing with 7/8. We're back to almost 5/8. It's an odd kind of feel. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Now remember, I'm counting that when I get to 7, it's 2 syllables. I don't want that. I want 1 syllable so it doesn't break the flow of rhythm. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Hey, Mike, did I answer your question okay? You have more, you want me to add more to that? I don't want you to be confused any more than I am. 5/4 means there's 5 quarter notes. 5/8 is 5/8 notes. But then, if I play 2 measures of 5/8, in reality, it's a subdivision of 5/4. I could say that, I guess, safely. If I go 5/8 plus 5/8 equals 10/16. Okay? Reduce that to its lowest denominator. You have 5/8, but it's actually 5/4. Do we understand it? It gets complicated. Are you sure? Because I'm not sure, sometimes sure of what I said or what I'm saying on certain things, but that's my concept and how I relate to it. I had not arguments, but some really good discussions in my studio here with Alan Herman and John Berger. Both are graduates of Juilliard School of Music. And John Berger is more, not commercial, he's a well-rounded musician. The same thing with Alan Herman. He could play rock, he could play jazz, and he could read extremely well, and he's brilliant with mathematics and the laws of physics. And we talked about the turning, going from 5/8 to 4/4, back to 5/8 or to 9/8 or whatever. The quarter note pulse always remains the same if that's it's being indicated beforehand in the piece of music or the chart that you're reading. So it gets complicated. 9/8 is a commonplace. That's the dotted quarter note, or 12/8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's 7. 7, 8. It's not easy. I don't know what to tell you guys. Sometimes it's not easy explaining all of this, but I will tomorrow at my 1 p.m. lesson, and I know you gentlemen have to go someplace else and won't be there. The video will be, so you could always go back to it and ask some questions. Now, I have some reading. Do you want me to go over any of the reading, the basic reading? I don't want to, go into 150,000 pages of reading, just so you understand the notation and the value of the time signature. Would you like me to do some reading for you from the PDFs that you have? Yes, no, maybe, by chance, hello, bang, bang. Of course. Let me explain that a little bit more, Michael. All right. If I have 3/8, that's 3/8 notes. All right, and the quarter note's going to stay the same regardless. Now, if I'm in 4/4 time and I have a triplet and say followed by 3 quarter notes, let me play that. Remember, an 8th note triplet with 3 quarter notes. 1 and 2, 3, 4. Now, how do I know that's a triplet? It's not 3/8. It's not implied 3/8. Only because the triplet has a 3 on it. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, if I'm in 3/8, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. I just played 6/8 notes, but my bass drum on the quarter note was different. Do you understand the difference? Well, it's up to the other guys. I'm here to do that. I gave them the PDFs. Reading sometimes is pretty boring, but it's essential. It's part of understanding the language and and rhythms. Okay. As a matter of fact, I have 4 books. Yeah, 4 books on the market on Amazon. You could always go to YouTube, and I have on the 2 books, Reading Text in 4:4 and Reading Text in 6:8, videos of page 1, page 2, page 3, measure by measure of me explaining it. So if you have a problem with your reading, just go to the YouTube, or if you want to purchase the books, just go to Amazon. Just put my name in Amazon, and the 4 books will come up. Anybody want to go over some reading? One thing I have to say also, and this might contradict some of the things I've said in the past, and it's not intended for that. And I'm going to tell you the story again. What I have had happen to me when I was about 11, 12 years old, I fell down the stairs with milk bottles. They weren't plastic. There was no such thing as plastic bottles back then. And I'm not going horse and carriage shit. It's, back in, 56, 7, 8, and all that in there. I fell down the stairs with the milk bottles. And I was on concrete stairs. When I did that, I cut my wrist. Okay. And I was taken to the emergency room. And I had an operation. The doctor sewed me up. And, what happened was, I remember going to the operating room, looking up at the light. And the next thing I remember, waking up in the hospital room, looking at my hand all bandaged up. 64 stitches. I cut an artery or a tendon, or whatever. I don't remember exactly how you would say that. But anyway, I have no feeling in this pinky. So I had to go to therapy after that. And the doctor recommended me squeezing a sponge ball to get my strength back and my maneuverability, but it still doesn't help that pinky. All right. And now, just recently, within the last, say, 6 months, I've been experiencing some pain in my left hand. And that is compounded with the cut and, the numbness of this finger, and can't control it, with a little bit of arthritis, just in the left hand. It's like somebody gets a pin and puts it right through your finger. Man, it's painful, and your hand stiffens up. And it comes and goes very occasionally, okay? So what I've been doing recently, and it's not a sport, okay? I'm not doing 1,000 push-ups or sit-ups. I have a sponge ball because I need to get my strength back with that left hand. The strength, by me squeezing my left hand, is going to bring back some strength. Because when I hit the drum, my stick flies all over the place. It's not the same. So in the evening, late in the evening, 10:30, 11 o'clock, if I'm not working in the drum studio, or when I'm laying on the couch, I'm squeezing the sponge ball. And I've been doing that for 3 or 4 days now, and my hand does feel a little stronger. However, if it continues, I will turn my hand over instead of playing traditional. Excuse me. I'm going to play German. Okay, the same process happens with the stick, though. The rebound is the same. Let me turn it around. Doing stick control, but you seem a little bit more powerful in a lot of different ways. Like I watched a video on Facebook of very visible drummers in the drum community demonstrating something like this. And I can't agree with this. A lot of it anyway, especially the first guy. Man, what a moron, I think. But anyway, he's coming from here, coming down, or going. That is totally off the wall. Yeah, match grip is okay. But when you're playing 90 years like this, it's a little bit uncomfortable. know, so I have to get used to it a little bit. When I'm doing doubles, I can't do doubles right now like this. I mean, I can do them here. But for me to do them here, it's a little bit different. So I have to work on that. So guys, bear with me. Please try to understand. And I'm not trying to contradict myself as no pain, no gain, or it's not a sport. It's something physical that I have to overcome. I did overcome it way back and it went away. Now it's back. So I will overcome it. Hope you guys understand. And please, when you walk down the stairs or run down the stairs, please have plastic bottles in your hand. I don't think they make milk bottles anymore, glass. And my whole body went into shock because I thought I had a bloody nose as opposed to cutting my hand. My hand was hanging. God bless my grandmother, little Italian lady. She took her apron off and tied my hand so it would stop bleeding. But that's where I stand with my left hand right now, and I'm getting better. So please try to understand, okay, guys? Now, anybody here that has the PDFs would like to go into some reading. If not, you know, I'm going to close up because it's been a long day, a very long day. I try to make the lesson longer, and I will make the lesson longer tomorrow evening. Okay, I promise that. And we'll continue on the odd, even time signatures. We'll continue on ostinato symbol pattern number 5. Do we have any questions at all? Well, I don't know about that. Thanks anyway for the compliment. But anyway, you know, there's so many good drummers out there, man. It's just, oh, they're so inspirational. Like a friend of mine from Canada who's in all my Facebook groups. Well, he turned me on to something really cool, and I'm going to write the whole thing out. You know, doing 3 against 4 and playing, you know, three with the hi-hat and 4 with the right hand on the cymbal, and it goes over like 3 or 4 measures, and playing 2 and 4 and playing the foot patterns from the Shafee book. So I'm going to try to get that written out. I don't know when. I'm just so overwhelmed because I'm trying to practice, and I'm trying to get my left hand back, and I want to start populating my site with instructional videos with PDFs. They're going to be very inexpensive, $150, $2, $250. Maybe the most would be $3 for a video and a PDF. How's that sound, guys? Or you have any comments on that or input? That's better. The input, you would be helping me out. And I mean, I'm not trying to make a fortune. Well, maybe I am, but I'm not really. I'm just trying to survive. And, you know, the guys who are not, you know, I don't want to be asking all the time for donations. Why don't the guys who do not belong to my website go on my website, register, and pay the fee per month? Because if I ask for a donation, I'll get $20, $25, maybe $30. It's actually cheaper to go on the website. Do you agree with that, guys? Let me put my website address again. I feel like one of those bucket drummers with a bucket trying to get some money, but that's okay. I think I can see that. There you go. That's all you need to do. Go there and register. Pay the fee for the month, and I don't have to ask for a donation. yes, it's reoccurring. I have to come up with that and put that on the table. However, on the plate or whatever you want to call it. And if you don't want to do it no more, all you have to do is discontinue your membership, and it will not be taken from a credit card or a debit card. Does that sound fair? Okay. With all that being said, is there anything that I could help out with that we've gone over tonight or this afternoon? And what would you like to learn new for tomorrow? You want to learn some hand exercises, stick control in 6/8? What would you like to learn or me demonstrate? I mean, I shouldn't ask. I should just do it and that's it. But I'm make everybody who views the lessons part of the whole thing. And the requests are there. Email me, Matt Patella, 1001 at gmail.com. Paul, can you put that in the chat for me? My email address. If you want to get on the mailing list, email me. You'll get the week's agenda and PDFs if needed. Thank you, Paul. Okay, so anyway, Paul, if you can, just put my email in there so the guys, if they want to get on my mailing list, know what the location is and the agenda for the week, okay, and PDFs for the lesson. Boom, you got it. I only could do that if you email me. Okay, guys, time for Uncle Matt. How's that, Mike? The name is sticking to me. Is to say good night, have a good night. Okay? The email is there. Okay, thank you, Paul. All right, guys. Short week this week because Thursday evening is Thanksgiving. Thursday's Thanksgiving, and there will be no lesson Thursday. So that gives me Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday off, which I need. Okay, guys. Okay, Mr. Mike. Okay, Paul, thank you. And whoever else is going to say thank you and good night and whatever. Thanks, Paul. Okay, guys. See everybody tomorrow, 1 p.m. if you're available. Have a good night. Let me stop broadcasting. There you go.